Hey, good afternoon, everybody, and thank you for joining this session of the Mitsui Lecture Series. Today's edition is going to be about discovering Japanese arts and culture in Tennessee. My name is Sammy Arnold, and I'm the Executive Director with the Japan America Society of Tennessee, or JAST, as we call ourselves. This session, as always, of the Mitsui Lecture Series will be recorded and available on JAST's YouTube channel. And if you have a question for our speakers, please just use the Q&A tab down there at the bottom of your screen at any time during the session, and just type your question out and hit send, and we'll see them and be glad to ask those questions to our speakers toward the end of the program. And as always, the Mitsui Lecture Series is made possible thanks to the generous support of the Mitsui U.S.A. Foundation. The purpose of the Mitsui Lecture Series is for high-profile speakers to present lectures on topics of interest to the Japanese and non-Japanese speaking business communities in Tennessee. And the series highlights Japan's footprint around the world and its contributions to Tennessee's prosperity over the last 40 years. And typically, our friend and our board member, Jeff Hughes from Mitsui, would be available right now to speak a little bit about Mitsui. Jeff has been in New York visiting the company's American headquarters. And he let me know a little while ago that he was headed to the airport and he got snagged up in New York traffic. So he asked me to read a little statement on his behalf, which I will do right now. So this is Jeff's statement. So I'm reading this on behalf of Jeff Hughes of Mitsui. Jeff says, "A quick word on Mitsui. We build for the long term, projects, partnerships, and communities. And tonight's themes are a pretty great match for how we try to work. Think of the Japanese garden, the bridges, Koi Lake, and moon gazing pavilion, crafted for strolling and reflection through all seasons. That patience and stewardship is the mindset we bring to relationships and investment. With language learning and shamisen, a few simple elements, shared vocabulary, 3 strings, become real harmony through practice and exchange. That is tradition meeting innovation, which is core to how Mitsui grows across industries. And with kimono, tea ceremony, and ikebana, everyday moments get elevated by care and hospitality, the standard we aim for in every customer and community touchpoint. Japanese arts and culture are thriving right here in Tennessee, and Mitsui is proud to help make these experiences accessible and welcoming. And thanks for spending your evening with us." And so that was from Jeff of Mitsui. And then if I could just add on behalf of JAST, Mitsui and Company has a big office presence in Nashville. And they truly are one of the biggest supporters of Japanese culture, one of the biggest supporters of the Nashville and Middle Tennessee core community, just in general, arts and culture. They are, I believe, a sponsor of Sunday's Cheekwood Moon Viewing Festival. And just, they're all over the community. We're lucky to have them here. And JAS would not be able to exist in the same way without those guys. So I just want to give a shout out to Mitsui. And so thanks to Jeff. And sorry he couldn't be here with us. But now I would like to move into the program and introduce this afternoon's first speaker. So Robin Howell, if you can go ahead and unmute and feel free to start your video, Robin, and I will introduce Robin here. It is my pleasure to introduce Robin Howell. Robin grew up in Central Kentucky and served in the U.S. Army as a communication specialist. After leaving the Army, Robin earned a degree in ornamental horticulture from the University of Kentucky. Robin interned at Walt Disney World, Chicago Botanic Garden, and Longwood Gardens, where he later worked for over 15 years. And since 2018, Robin has been the curator of the Japanese and Asian Garden at the Memphis Botanic Garden. And the Japanese garden at the Memphis Botanic Garden was begun in 1965 with the building of the Red Drum Bridge. And in 1989, the garden was redesigned and given the name Seijaku-en, Garden of Tranquility. This style of garden is called a strolling garden with a lake as the central feature. 2 of the prominent features of the garden are the pruned Japanese black pines and the koi fish that draws thousands of visitors each year. Robin, welcome to you, sir. Thanks for being with us. I'll let you take it away.
Well, thank you, Sammy, for inviting me. I'm thrilled to be here, and let me go ahead and start the video of Seijaku-en, the Japanese garden here at the Memphis Botanic Garden. Hello. Welcome to the Memphis Botanic Garden, and specifically the Japanese and Asian Garden.
My name's Robin Howell, and I'm the curator of the Japanese and Asian garden. This is actually known now as Seijaku-in, or the Garden of Tranquility. And we're going to be walking through today. I'll tell you a little bit about the history, some of our plant material, and the plants and animals that you'll see here in the garden. So this is a very special year here at the Japanese garden because we're actually celebrating our 60th anniversary. And I'm going to tell you a little bit about the history. It actually started in 1965, and that's when Dr. P.T. Tono of Tokyo was hired to design the garden. And really, the first major project was the Red Bridge over the lake. And so after that, in 1969, the paths were added. And then in 1971, and you can kind of make out in the background, that's when our moon gazing pavilion was added. So in 1989, renovations were conducted, and that's when we actually got the name Seijaku-in, or the Garden of Tranquility. We brought in Professor Koichi Kawana, and he was actually a garden designer who did a lot of work throughout the United States. He helped with the Missouri Botanic Garden, which is one of the larger Japanese gardens in the United States, the Chicago Botanic Garden, and also Denver Botanic Garden. So he had done a lot of work throughout the country. The local landscape architect, Richie Smith, was in charge of the project, and there were many improvements that were made. Approximately 5,100 yards of cubic soil was added to create 4 berms within the garden. We actually created a pebble beach at the back of the garden along the lake. The zigzag bridge, or Yatsuhashi Bridge, was actually built, and a lot of plant material was added. Cherry trees, Japanese maples, a wide variety of different plant material. Now, many people think that in a Japanese garden you can only have Japanese plants. That's not true. Koichi Kawana was a big proponent of using native plant material. And as you walk through our garden and look, you'll see many native plants. In fact, one of the largest trees we have is an American elm. A lot of different elements within a Japanese garden. You'll see a lot of stone. You'll see moss, cherries, which are actually known as sakura. And you'll also see black pine, which to me is really the symbol of most Japanese gardens. In Japanese, it's known as kuramatsu. And a lot of people will have questions about, well, how do you prune it, get it into the certain shape you do? And it's kind of a long process. Normally, it can be done at 2 times during the year. One is the spring and early summer, and then once in the fall. And what'll happen is once the new needles start to develop and grow, they're really, really tightly bunched. And we actually call that a candle. And what you can actually do is break the candles to actually control the size and the shape of the plant. This particular black pine, also the botanic name is Pinus thunbergii. This is actually kind of as big as we want it to grow. So we won't really break the candles so much. What we'll do is actually remove them. And what'll happen, normally black pines are somewhat vigorous growers, so they will put out a second flush of growth. And with that, what we will do in the fall is we will come back and thin the growth in this plant. And Here, we're going to give you a close-up shot and show you what the candle looks like.
So as we look at this, you can see this is the new candle that's developing, and you can see the axillary buds that are forming in here. So on top of this needle growth that's already here and all this grows, this will be really, really thick. And when we do the candle pruning in the spring, it's actually known as madursuming. When we come back in the fall and we do momiage, which is the thinning, if we look, not only do we have this candle and these other candles, and so they will form more needles. But as we look inside here and we have more growth in here, this is what we want to thin out. So we don't want this to be really, really thick going through the winter into the spring.
What we're looking at here is one of our cherry trees. It's actually a Pernis yedoensis, which is a Yoshino cherry. In Japanese, they're referred to as a sakura. And we have our cherry festival in the spring. We get thousands of people coming in that want to see the cherries lined up on the road out in front of the garden, but also down here in the Japanese garden. And this particular tree is somewhat special, and there's another one right across the lake. And the reason these are special is because these were taken from cuttings from the cherry trees at the tidal basin in Washington, D.C., and they were given to the United States from the Japanese government in 1912. And in 2012, cuttings were taken and distributed to botanic gardens and arboretums around the country. We were fortunate enough to get 3. One of them did die along the way, but our other 2 trees are growing beautifully and they're nice and healthy. The other thing I'm going to point out to you down here is in 1989, when we were the re-landscaping was going on, one of the things they built was the Yatsuhashi Bridge, or the zigzag bridge. Now, according to Japanese folklore, the reason it's built in a zigzag pattern like this is supposedly evil spirits can only walk in a straight line. So if you fear that an evil spirit is following you, as you walk and turn, the evil spirit will fall off the end into the water, and you won't be possessed by an evil spirit. One thing that's somewhat common in Japanese gardens and a lot of times in design work is a technique called hide and reveal. And what it is basically you don't want something to be seen all at once. It's more you want it to be revealed as you move through the space. And so within our garden here at the front entrance, which we just redid in the past year, a lot of our plantings, we had that in mind as we set them in to obscure the moon gazing pavilion and also the red bridge. So as you walk up to the entrance and walk through, you might see some of it, but you don't see all of it until you move through the space. And one of the things you see in here are the koi, and you see different sizes and different colors of the koi. And the koi can actually be quite valuable to collectors depending on what their coloring is. Orange seems to be a fairly common color, white, and you will see yellow and then kind of black. But to collectors, if there is certain markings on them, they can be quite valuable. The one thing about the koi can live upwards of 30 years or longer. And as you can see by some of the fish we have in varying sizes, and also they can be quite heavy too. They can weigh upwards of 30 pounds, depending on the size of them. People often ask us, can they actually move from the siltation pond to the lake since we only have this concrete bridge?
if we do have a heavy rain, I have seen this covered with water, and then it's up to their choice. If they're tired of the siltation pond, they can swim into the lake or vice versa. One of the aspects of um, certain characteristics you'll see within a Japanese garden with our berms that we have here, and also the pebble beach along the lake, are it's not a miniaturization of a landscape, but actually it's the proper scale of a landscape that you would see in nature, but it's just in a garden. So the pebble beach is meant to represent a shoreline that you would see at the ocean. The berms would be there to represent mountains that you might see out in the landscape. But really, it's more in scale, and it's a representation within the garden. With that being said, as you actually walk through a Japanese garden, one thing you won't see in comparison to other gardens is that other gardens are typically more focused on flowers. You won't really see that in Japanese garden. It's more about texture, form, and shape. You will see bursts of colors here and there, but it's not color everywhere. It's just more of a muted experience. And you're coming in more to see the textures and the forms within the garden. So when the development of the garden came along, and this was actually the first element that went in, was the Red Bridge, and it was actually overseen by Dr. P.T. Tono of Tokyo, Japan, who laid out the original garden. And the Red Bridge has had to undergo maintenance over the years, normally painting and occasionally getting some of the planks replaced. But it is probably one of the more prominent features in the entire garden. About 25 years ago, the Red Bridge was actually featured on the phone book of the Memphis area, and is one of the more famous sites within the Memphis area. That being said, it has had to undergo maintenance over the years. It's had to have planks replaced, and it also has to get repainted every few years. And so, but it is one of the more prominent features that we do have in the garden. I want to thank you for joining me in my garden space today, and I hope that we will see you in person one day, and enjoy the garden when you come. Thank you very much.
Robin, that's that's great. That sounded good. We appreciate it. And anything else you wanted to add?
No, I hope the video spoke well for me and our garden.
It absolutely it did. And so now we'll move to Mahagi LaCure, Japanese language teacher with the Asian Culture Center of Tennessee and coordinator of Shamisen, Knoxville. She is our next speaker. Mahagi was born and raised in the city of Toyama on the main island of Japan. After graduating from Kobe Women's College, majoring in English, she apprenticed with a master weaver in Kyoto. Mahagi became a self-employed weaver after she came to the U.S., selling hand-dyed and hand-woven wall rugs through craft galleries and craft fairs. Mahagi moved with her family to Knoxville when her husband was offered a job at the University of Tennessee. She obtained an MS in foreign language education from UT Knoxville and taught Japanese there for 30 years. Mahagi is retired now and is busy teaching adult Japanese classes offered by the Asian Culture Center of Tennessee and coordinating Shamisen Knoxville, a vibrant ensemble dedicated to sharing the rich traditions of Japan's shamisen music. They participate in community outreach visits, festivals, and events across the Southeast with performances and hands-on experiences with the banjo-like instrument. Mahagi, I'll turn it over to you. Thank you so much.
I'm already on. Thank you so much. I'm going to be sharing PowerPoint, so I hope this works okay. share in my first PowerPoint. Okay, slideshow. Sorry, so many steps. And play from start. Well, this is one of the most famous Japanese songs, Sakura, Sakura, Cherry Blossoms, played by two Shamisen. And before Shamisen, I was playing Okinawan Sanshin. I had Okinawan friends, and for the first Knox Asian Festival, I played Okinawan songs, folk songs, with a gentleman. Actually, he worked in Okinawa as a missionary. And what is shamisen? So shamisen is a three-string lute that originated probably in the Middle East. Someone was recently saying it came from Africa originally. Anyway, I came to China about 800 years ago, and it was called sanshen, and brought to Okinawa. At the time, it was called Ryukyu Kingdom. The two countries, China and Ryukyu Kingdom, were doing trades vigorously, and that's when it was brought to Okinawa. Then, about 500 years ago, it was brought to Japan through the port of Sakai, that's in Osaka. The names have changed a little bit, but they all mean three strings. So Okinawan Sanshin, you can tell it has a strong influence of the Chinese counterpart because they still use python skin for the body, and Chinese characters were used for musical notes. In the pick was unique. It was made of water buffalo horn to put on index finger. Then came to Japan, and you see some changes. Obviously, the python was replaced with another animal skin and has a longer neck. And instead of the pick used with sanshin, bachi plectrum is usually used play. Because before shamisen was brought, another string instrument called biwa was popular, and biwa players used a plectrum, and that's the way they played shamisen also. And shamisen could be categorized depending on the thickness of the neck. Hosodao, thin neck shamisen, can play a kind of delicate sound and used for indoor performance, like geisha people entertaining at parties, or even for kabuki theater, but not just one person, but like orchestra, a lot of players with other instruments used for kabuki theater. The medium neck is versatile, so you can say it's for ordinary people. So folk songs played, and also the classic music called jiuta, medium neck is used, and to play with koto instrument, that's 13-string instrument, and also with shakuhachi, bamboo flute. The thick one, it could be very loud. And for example, Bunrak Puppet Theater has this storyteller and shamisen player. And I don't think you have heard this before, so I'm going to play a little bit. So it's more like a sound effect, adding emotions to the story. Another thick neck shamisen is tsugaru shamisen. Probably you've heard of the name before. It's very popular among younger people because it's very percussive and kind of original and very technical, technically challenging, I would say. And it was originally started by blind musicians in the region of Tsugaru. They would go door to door and play, and in return, they received money. And for festivals and events, they're outdoors and they have to be loud, and they had to attract audience attention to get more money or whatever they offered. But these days, female players are very popular also, not just guys. Oh, I have to go to. Then comes shabo. What is shabo? Shabo is a nickname for shamisen box because the body is made of cardboard box. And it was created by my shamisen teacher for beginners. And because of the material, it produces very warm and gentle sound. It's lightweight, portable. You can take to Mount Fuji to play, or easy to decorate and customize. And as soon as you learn the basics, you can apply the basic principles when playing the full-size shamisen. And you can play melodies or chords. If you have played the guitar, you know how hard it is to play the chords. This is one finger chord playing. See, look at my left hand. So it's easy, just one finger, pressing all three strings. So playing together with friends is so much fun. This was like Tennessee waltz. Then I started to reach out to spread the fun, going out to the community. And this is from a visit to a senior center. And they could play right then. So anyone can play. And visited all sorts of schools from preschool and grade school, middle school, yes, high school and universities. Everyone enjoys. And at festivals, this is Oak Ridge Children's Museum, Knoxville and Nashville. And when we offer workshops, people assemble their own shabo and decorate and learn to play it. And this picture, yeah, this is 3 years ago, first shabo workshop for the committee people. And Jacob-san, who is in the picture, he is now a regular member of Shamisen, Knoxville. When there's opportunity, we go perform, and we sometimes use other instruments also. And this was last year when the Curator, my sensei teacher, came to play with us. And another big deal was the children with Indonesian heritage, they learned to play shamisen, and in return, we learned to play their bamboo instrument called angkran. And we continue to participate in programs, and this is the most recent one at the Asian Festival. So these guys, they started with shabo. Now they are playing the masculine tsugaru shamisen. And coming up, Sami-san talked about Otsukimi, and that's this Sunday. Okay, we'll be there, and we'll have a table for information and hands-on experience, and we'll play after dark. So would you like to join our Shamili? That's Shamisen family. Just contact me at this email address. That's it for the Shamisen. And I'm going to be talking about also Japanese language and culture classes. Is it okay to go ahead and present this?
Please. Yes. Sorry about that. Yeah. Please go ahead.
Okay. So now slideshow, play from start. Okay. I guess there's an expression in English, wear two hats. And in Japanese, we sort of say nisoku no waraji, like wear two shoes. And these are two things I do after retirement. So the language, Japanese language and culture classes, this one is offered by the Asian Culture Center of Tennessee. That is the Asian festival. Asian festival is the biggest event and program they produce, but also the Culture Center offers so many different outreach programs, and this is one of them. So I'm going to be just briefly talk about what classes we offer and what the students are like and what we do in class. So it's in-person classes in West Knoxville, and we only offer beginner levels, like 3 introductory levels and 3 elementary 1, elementary 2, but we are not there yet, and offered 4 times a year. So this is for adults, so age 18 to people who are in their 60s, our students. What are they interested in? Just everything. Includes garden, like, and anything, everything. And some people have never studied a foreign language. It's sort of a challenge, but I admire their courage. And many have tried Duolingo. It's good, but some say now they want like in-person experience. Many have visited Japan before and or planning to visit sometime soon. So very interested in travel. And most people have a full-time job and many have families. So try to accommodate for the students so if they cannot come to class, they could join Zoom, and if they're out of town, for example. But if that's not possible, they have to study. We provide weekly PowerPoint slides with contents, and also try to record class so that they can watch and study on their own later. And in classroom, listening and speaking is the focus of the class. So lots of listen and repeat, and listen and talk, listen and find out, and listen and discuss sort of thing. For reading, it's more limited to kind of learning how to read the Japanese symbols. This one is for hiragana. After learning like only 10 hiragana symbols, they can read these simple, cute books. And the textbook has a good life and culture site about everything, just about everything. But I try to kind of supplement with the seasonal things or current things. People didn't know about this was happening in Osaka right now. or introduce manners, supplementary things, or just eat Japanese food for the party, like that. And what's this? I'm trying to say, language is culture, not just separate thing. So for hello, how are you? The basic thing, I have to attach all the cultural notes to go with that. Homework assignment. So this is part 2, second second level. Basically for homework, work on what they learned in classroom, and then prepare for the next lesson by studying vocabulary. Here's another example. That's part 5, which uses a second book. So they are ready to write composition. And again, prepare for next class by learning vocabulary and Chinese characters, kanji words. And we say goodbye at the end, and they can use anything they want to say, except for the first one. That's Jane is just too casual for classroom situation. Okay, for online information, please visit Knoxville Asian Festival Outreach. Thank you. That's it.
Mahagi, that's great. You do wear a lot of hats.
So I stop share now.
That's great.
Okay.
Mahagi, before you mute, have you noticed that there has been more interest in the shamisen in your language classes recently in the last year or two compared to when it started? Is the public more interested in taking your classes and studying these things?
Okay. I don't really offer shamisen classes.
Right.
Mm-hmm. I think so. The number members hasn't increased that much, but we do go out so people know about shamisen.
You're in demand, right? And so next, I would like to welcome my friend Sachi Uemoto, founder of ENISHI. She's our next speaker. And if I can introduce her, Sachi founded ENISHI in 2012 to introduce Japanese culture through kimono, the traditional Japanese tea ceremony, and ikebana. Sachi has shared these traditions with community programs at universities and libraries, and she has assisted the Japan American Society of Tennessee and the Consulate General of Japan in Nashville at cultural events like our Nashville Cherry Blossom Festival and Cheekwood's Moon Viewing Festival. And Sachi's aim is to offer approachable, welcoming experiences that serve as an entry point to Japanese culture and everyday life. So Sachi, I welcome you. Thanks for being with us, and I'll turn it over to you.
Thank you, Sami. Hello, everyone. My name is Sachi Uemoto Groves, and I started ENISHI. My favorite phrase is everything has a meaning. I believe that even the smallest things has a meaning. That is why I love tea ceremony, ikebana, and kimono. In all of them, everything has a meaning. For example, with kimono, color always across left over right. You see, this is my left side, left over right. Color always the leftover side for both men and women. If you wear the other way, it is for the deceased. Also, for the fabric and the way you wear the kimono and the obi show the label for formality. About 1500 years ago, common people wear the kimono left over right, like today, and only high class were allowed to wear right over left, this side. Today, everyone wear the kimono left over right, and only deceased are dressed right over left to show respect, because they are believed to be high rank, closer to Buddha. And let me share the PowerPoint right now. I began ENISHI in Japan in 2012. My goal was to share Japanese culture, kimono, tea ceremony, and ikebana in a way that feels friendly and easy. Many people think those things are very formal or difficult, but I wanted to make them open for everyone. The first idea came from a friend. She had many kimonos, but had never worn them. I said, let's dress up and have fun together. That was a beginning. I was lucky to grow up with Japanese culture. My aunt is a tea ceremony and ikebana teacher. So I learned from her for more than 15 years. For kimono, I studied because I needed to wear one for tea gathering. At first, my mother helped me, but we often argued. So I decided to learn myself. A neighbor who was the best kimono dresser in Japan told me how to dress quickly and beautifully. In 2013, I joined a kimono competition and won first place in my region. It was like a sports. You had to dress by myself in 5 minutes without a mirror. Since I live in Tennessee now, sometimes I wear a kimono with cowboy boots and cowboy hat. It is fun mix of culture, and I think it looks stylish and cool. For me, kimono is not only traditional, it is also fashionable and powerful. And tea ceremony is not only formal, it is also delicious and just relaxing. Some people say, I cannot wear a kimono because I don't have an obi, or I cannot do tea ceremony because I don't have a tea bowl. I think that is kind of sad. You can use a obi instead of obi. I mean, you can use a scarf or belt instead obi. You can use a soup bowl instead of tea bowl. What really matters is your heart to enjoy. In Japan, I also joined many events. For example, in Ehime Prefecture, where I grew up, I helped with a kimono fashion show, making modern style like a short skirt kimono and even blue jeans kimono. I also trained and worked at the kimono shop named the Shioya Gofukuten, and they hosted a tea gathering at the Nakano Honpo traditional sweets store in summer, where about 130 guests came for 3 hours. When I moved to Tennessee, I contacted the Japan American Society and Consulate of Japan. Since then, I have shared kimono and tea at the Cherry Blossom Festival, the Moon Viewing Festival at Chikud, and then other event every year. Now, I give small class in my house in Greenbrier, Tennessee. Tea ceremony, kimono, and ikebana. Sometimes I also visit university, schools, and libraries to introduce Japanese culture. Finally, I want to explain the meaning of enishi. In Japanese, its meaning connection, but it can also mean the edge of fabric. Like thread, human relationship can tangle, break, and connect again. When the pieces are sewn together, they make a beautiful fabric. I feel life is the same. I am thankful for every meeting and connection. So treasure meeting you guys, and thank you so much.
Sachi, that was great. Thank you so much. You did awesome. We appreciate it.
Yeah, I connect you again.
Okay, good. And so we'll let you, we got about 5 minutes left. And so maybe enough time for one question for each of you. And since Robin, since we've got you already, so I was wondering, is there sort of a peak season of popularity that you guys have for the Japanese garden? Would that be the spring with the cherry blossom, or is it just sort of a year-round thing that you can come any month of the year?
I think spring is probably the most visited season of the year because of the cherry blossoms. And after winter and it's cold and it's wet and everything, people just want to be outside. And so I think spring is probably our most popular season.
Gotcha. Fantastic. And it makes sense. And just a quick plug, we'll be, JAST will be with Robin and the folks at the Memphis Botanic Garden on November 2nd, Sunday, November 2nd. So if anybody's hearing this, you're in the West Tennessee area, we have a great Japanese cultural festival that we organize, that we co-host with the Memphis Botanic Garden, Sunday, November 2nd. And if you're in the area, you can come see us and enjoy the festivities, and also go check out Robin's garden that he just kind of gave you a preview of. So, all right. So Mahagi, let me ask you a question. So we were wondering if somebody wanted to purchase, if somebody wanted to buy a shamisen, how should they go about that? Can they do that with you guys? Can you help them with that?
Just come to like festivals and events, and we'll be there when we'll be there. And assembled shabu is like $60, and we give like educational discount for students.
Oh, good. Okay. That's great. And those are the shabo shamisen that you showed the pictures of, are the ones that you guys sell?
Yes.
Okay.
Board
Nice.
shamisen. Okay.
Right.
This is Sugaru shamisen, heavy one.
Okay. Good.
Not for sale.
Okay. And then for Sachi, so we were wondering, how many kimono do you own?
I don't know. Actually, I can't count. Maybe 70, 80, maybe.
Wow.
Around that.
Wow. That's amazing.
Maybe.
And so, and then about and then with the tea ceremony, when you do the tea ceremonies with people or for people, how do you find that how do they react to it after they experience it?
The most first time guests, they are surprised the teas are easier to drink than they think.
Right.
But especially, maybe because they eat sweets before drinking.
Right.
But for kids, too bitter. So maybe 50-50. And then it's a lot of caffeine. So I don't want to give to my kids after 6 p.m. No.
Right. Well, that's fantastic. Okay, well, guys, we have 2 minutes left, so I better wrap it up there so we can stay on time. I would like to thank Robin Howell, Mahagi LaCure, and Sachi Uemoto, and of course Jeff Hughes, our sponsor of this series from Mitsui U.S.A. Jeff couldn't be with us, but we want to thank the Mitsui U.S.A. Foundation for its support of JAST. And we'll see Robin, of course, as I mentioned, on November 2nd at the Memphis Botanic Garden. And I should mention too, he'll lead guided tours of the Japanese garden that day for anybody that would like to come and get a personal tour of the garden. And our next Mitsui Lecture Series session will be in November, and we're going to be talking about a place very near and dear to my heart, which is Jackson, Tennessee, which is where most of my Arnold side of my family is from. My grandparents are still there. But Jackson has more Japanese companies per capita than any other community in Tennessee. And so why are Japanese companies successful in Jackson? That's what we'll talk about when that one comes around. And just stay tuned. We'll put that out in our email blast and our newsletter, so you'll be able to get word of that and join us if you can. So just go to the JAS website for more information about all the Mitsui Lecture Series programs and all the great stuff that we have coming up. And so I look forward to seeing Mahagi and Sachi at the Moon Viewing Festival at Cheekwood on Sunday. And if you happen to need more information about that, Cheekwood's website has all the information you need about that. So with that, I want to wish everybody a great evening, and special thanks again to our very great guests who did an awesome job presenting. So thank you all
So much.
Thank you.